He didn't grow up poor, the way he says. At 17, he dropped out of high school with no degree, no safety net, and no backup plan. His mother couldn't pay the bills. They had just been cut off from everything. And today, a decade later, he's worth somewhere between $25 and $85 million, depending on who you believe, living in a Dubai penthouse, buying his mom a $4 million house, and running one of the most profitable education empires on the internet. But here's the thing most people get completely wrong about Iman Gadzhi. They think he got rich because of YouTube. He didn't. YouTube was just the megaphone. The actual machine? That's a different story, and it's a lot more interesting than the highlight reel. By the end of this video, you're going to understand the exact sequence of decisions that built his wealth. Not the vague, work hard, believe in yourself version. The real one, with numbers. Because there's a specific business architecture behind this story, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Part 1. The origin story nobody talks about. He didn't grow up poor, the way he says. Let's start with the story Iman tells. Born in 2000 in Dagestan, Russia, moved to London with his mother. No money, language barrier, single-parent household. Classic rags to riches setup. And it's real, but it's also incomplete. Here's the part that almost never makes it into the highlights. From around age 4 to 14, Iman actually lived a privileged life. His stepfather was wealthy, private schools in London, luxuries most kids never touch. Then, at 14, his mother divorced his stepfather, who was by all accounts abusive, and overnight that income disappeared. Completely. Just gone. So Iman didn't grow up in poverty from birth. He grew up with comfort, lost it violently at 14, and had to rebuild from scratch with a teenager's brain and a mother who depended on him. That context matters enormously, because it means he already understood what money felt like. He knew what he was chasing. He just had to figure out how to get it back. That emotional urgency, that specific fear of falling, becomes the engine behind everything he builds. At 15, he starts flipping Instagram accounts. Small money, but it's real money. He blows it on bad decisions, as 15-year-olds do, and ends up at zero. So he pivots to fitness coaching, saves enough to buy a camera, and starts making YouTube videos to document the journey. Nobody's watching yet, but the habit is forming. Part 2. The agency that changed everything. His agency made $100,000 per month, but not the way you think. Most people know Iman built a social media marketing agency called IAG Media. But the way they think he built it and the way he actually built it are two completely different things. Here's the naive version of the story. Guy learns Facebook ads, gets clients, scales, makes money. Straightforward entrepreneurship. But think about the actual math of that business for a second. You're 17, you dropped out of school, you have no credentials, no track record, no team. You're cold calling businesses and telling them you'll manage their online presence. Why would anyone trust you? His first client paid him £300 a month. 300. That's it. But Iman understood something most young freelancers don't. The game isn't landing the first client. It's surviving long enough to land the 10th. So he underpromised, overdelivered, and used every client result as proof for the next pitch. He built the retainer model from the ground up, meaning clients paid him every single month, not just once. By the time things were running, he was charging £4,000 a month per client. His largest single retainer hit $60,000 in a month. By 18, IAG Media was clearing over $100,000 a month in revenue. He hit his first million that same year. And here's where the story gets genuinely interesting. Because instead of going deeper into the agency, he went sideways. Part 3. The pivot that multiplied everything. He spotted a business model most entrepreneurs are too proud to run. There's a pattern in the way entrepreneurs scale. The smart ones don't just grow their business, they sell the blueprint. At 18 or 19, Iman is running a successful agency. He could hire more staff, take on more clients, and grow IAG Media into a traditional marketing firm. That's the normal path. That's what the MBA version of this story looks like. Instead, he does something that a lot of people in the real business world look down on. He starts teaching others how to do what he just did. His first course was called Six Figure SMMA, SMMA standing for Social Media Marketing Agency. It launched in 2019 under a platform he called Grow Your Agency. In its first year, that single course generated $750,000. Not annual revenue, year one. Why? Because the demand was already there. Every week, his YouTube audience, people who were watching him document his agency journey, were asking the same question: how do I do this too? He didn't have to create demand. He just had to package what he already knew and point people to the checkout page. The genius of this move is almost too obvious to see. The agency was trading time for money. 20 clients, 20 relationships, 20 deliverables. The course was a file on a server. Same file, infinite customers. He crossed from a service business into an information product business, and that difference right there is the structural reason his income scaled so fast. Part 4. The funnel behind the fame. YouTube wasn't a job for him. It was a distribution channel. This is the part most aspiring YouTubers completely misunderstand about Iman Gadzhi. If you look at his channel, you'll see lifestyle videos, Dubai apartments, Porsches, private jets, Hasbulla in the passenger seat. It looks like standard influencer content. It looks like a guy showing off. And on the surface, yeah, it kind of is. But underneath it, every single video is a funnel. Iman has never relied on YouTube ad revenue as a meaningful income stream. His estimated AdSense earnings are a few $1,000s a month, loose change, relative to his actual business. What YouTube does for him is something far more valuable. It delivers qualified, pre-sold prospects directly to his paid products at zero marginal cost. Think about it. Someone watches a video about his agency, subscribes, watches 3 more, follows him on Instagram, sees a post about Agency Navigator, his flagship course, at $1,499 and then buys. That buyer didn't need a cold email or an expensive paid ad. YouTube did the selling. His sales funnel runs like this. YouTube builds trust. Trust drives course sales. Course sales fund the personal brand. The personal brand expands the YouTube channel. It's a self-reinforcing loop. And once that loop is spinning, it almost doesn't stop. Over time, his course business alone has generated over $100 million in total funnel revenue, according to his own claims, with tens of thousands of students across Agency Navigator and its predecessor programs. Part 5. The Business Stack. He didn't build one business. He built a portfolio designed to compound. Here's where Iman's story diverges sharply from the typical YouTube entrepreneur playbook. Most creators build one thing, one course, one membership, maybe a merch line. Iman built a stack. At some point, a course business hits a ceiling. The market gets saturated. Competitors enter. You have to constantly generate new content, new launches, new hype. It's a treadmill. So, how do you get off? You build products that serve the same audience at different price points and different stages of their journey. IAG Media was the agency, the service arm, the credibility engine. Grow Your Agency was the educational platform. Agency Navigator was the flagship course at $1,499. Then he moved into high-ticket coaching, with programs running anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 for direct access and consulting. Then he built Agency Flow, a SaaS tool software as a service, specifically designed for agency owners to manage their operations. Then came Educate.io, then a blue light glasses brand called Gaggi, then investments in real estate, crypto, including a very public and very painful $1.2 million bet on Bored Ape NFTs that lost most of its value, and more recently, a reported $75 million business acquisition. Each layer of this stack serves a specific function. The course creates volume. The coaching creates margin. The SaaS creates recurring revenue. The investments create long-term compounding. And the personal brand creates the traffic that feeds all of it. It's not flashy, it's not complicated, but it's designed deliberately, at each step, to not depend on any single revenue source. Part 6. The move to Dubai and the wealth philosophy. The most underrated decision he ever made had nothing to do with marketing. In 2020, Iman Gaggi moved his operations to Dubai. At first glance, it looks like a lifestyle choice. Warmer weather, luxury real estate, a good backdrop for YouTube videos. But if you think about it from a pure numbers perspective, this move might be worth more than any single product he ever launched. Dubai has no personal income tax. In the UK, someone earning at Iman's level would be paying 45% in income tax on earnings above a certain threshold. On $5 million in income, that's potentially $2.25 million handed to the government every year. Moving to Dubai effectively kept millions in his own pocket legally. Beyond the tax strategy, he has publicly championed what he calls borderless living, holding assets internationally, diversifying across jurisdictions, building the kind of financial architecture that doesn't depend on any single country's rules. It's a mindset straight out of the playbook of offshore wealth management, brought down to a 22-year-old's vocabulary and audience. He bought his mother a $4 million house. He pledged his YouTube ad revenue about $1 million to charity in 2023. He funded a school construction in Nepal. And he did all of this before turning 25. Here's the contrarian take you didn't see coming. Iman Gaggi isn't particularly unique as a marketer. He's not the best media buyer. He's not the most technically gifted digital strategist. There are thousands of people who know what he knows. What makes him exceptional is something far less glamorous. He committed earlier, shipped faster, documented everything, and built systems while everyone else was still thinking about starting. He was making YouTube videos when he had no subscribers. He launched courses when he had a small audience. He moved to Dubai when most people his age were still deciding on a major. The lesson isn't drop out and start an agency. The lesson is this: the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it consistently, publicly, over years, that gap is where fortunes are built or missed. Iman Gaggi saw the same internet everyone else saw. He just decided to build on it instead of scroll through it.